It's a Tuesday. Turn it up.
Turn it up Tuesday, Takeover Tuesday, Tip Tuesday, Tenacious Tuesday,
Terrific Tuesday.
Terrific Tuesday. Good morning to the crew as they all come on in.
Kenny P back in the house. For those of you who don't know this group, it's Basement Jacks, and it's Do Your Thing.
It's a great video.
It's a really cool video. It's a really cool song. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's that for this morning. It's posted in the Huddle on Facebook. I love it. I've been thinking and singing to that all morning. Really, really good stuff. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to it's time for Shay Tuesday.
Well, it's Tip Tuesday, and anytime you need a tip, Shay is always a great guy.
The guy, man. So today's theme, amongst all the other things that we're going to talk about, is follow-up. It's one of the things that people in the sales process totally forget about, and I call it FU money. Follow-up is where the money is. FU. So a couple of shout-outs, which I like to do early in the morning. The Los Angeles Chargers, who are a client of yours truly and of Mark and Shay. We did a lot of work with them at the beginning of this pandemic, and yesterday they had an awards ceremony, and one of the guys who is a big fan of our work, and we're a big fan of his, Will Wall. Shout out, congratulations. The award that he won was most appointments completed. Bam. When you're doing that, man, it is good stuff happening. So, LinkedIn is good about shouting out stuff about, wins and losses. Shout out to Bob Benkin and Doug Hurley. I'm going to bet that nobody in the huddle knows who those two gentlemen are.
Come on, somebody give me who are those guys we're talking about?
Bob Benkin and Doug Hurley. Da, 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 da. These are superheroes in my mind. Super cool human beings. Good morning, Paul Rushton. Good morning, Larry Long. Ba, 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 da, da, da. Leanne Ramirez Carney coming in, showing us New York. Thank
Nothing.
you.
Give it to them. They don't know who it is.
Here we go. Those are the astronauts that were above the SpaceX Dragon Endeavour capsule, and they did the world's largest cannonball. Bam! Just landed in the water, and they're back. Why is it a big deal? Because that proved out Elon Musk's theory that we can make space travel a regular occurrence. So the final step in certifying Musk's SpaceX campaign, which would begin routine operations to space. So congratulations to Elon Musk. Congratulations to those two dudes, because you talk about isolation and all of the things that people are freaking out about here. Those guys were in a capsule and in the sky.
Also, the first time in 45 years that astronauts have landed with a splashdown. Correct. And sidebar to that, I think they were supposed to land in the Atlantic originally and then had to alter course because of the hurricane and ended up landing in the Gulf, I believe is what happened, which how you navigate that, I have no idea. That's far beyond my intelligence level.
So, crazy stuff. So a couple of things also. Michelle, good morning, Michelle Esposito. She's a devotee now. She's joining the huddle every day. She's commenting. She's networking. You see, we get everybody. After a while, jump in. For those of you who are networking within this group, good stuff is happening. We're adding new people. It's your group too. So shout it out to your group. Bring them in. meet new people, do good stuff, lots of stuff happening. So today we're going to talk about a couple of things, but I'm going to start out, and I told you the major theme for the day is follow-up, and that's one of the reasons why Shay is here. He's our follow-up dude. He's their director of MIH, man. He's all about it. But I wanted to talk about what happens when you hit the skids. Like, you wake up one day and the tank's empty. I had a discussion yesterday with a client, and she was just like, wow, I don't know, man. All of a sudden, this hit me. And she was like kind of going, I'm not going to give her name because I don't want to, betray any confidence. But, she was like saying, I just don't have it. So I want to teach people this morning about what to do. Here's a really cool trick. You're not going to find this on the internet. You can't Google it. It's something I made up years ago for me. I shared it with my teams. I shared it with her yesterday because it came top of mind, and bam, I'm doing it with you guys. So I said to her, first of all, it's a couple of things. It's really perspective. She was talking about, wow, there's so many things on Las Olas that are closed. I said, listen, perspective. My son Mark lives right near Las Olas, and he's telling me about all the cool shops and the people and the gyms that are opening. So I said, it's just perspective, man. You're closed off. The pipes are locked. So you need to clean out the pipes. How do you do that? So I told her, I said, get out a piece of paper. And I want everybody to pay attention to this. Get out a piece of paper, and I want you to write down the things that are bugging you. So she stood right in front of me, wrote them down. I said, this is bothering you. This is bothering me. Okay. So I want you to rip that piece of paper off. I want you to take a lighter. I want you to go outside, and right in front of me, I want you to crumble that piece of paper. Just crumble it up. I want you to light the piece of paper, put it on the ground, and stamp the shit out of that piece of paper. And she did it, and then looked at me like it had been lifted. And the takeaway is that whatever's rattling around in your brain, if you let it stay there and fester, it's going to ruin other things in your body. Physicalize it and get rid of it. So it's a cool thing. I don't know, Mark, if you have some trick. We hadn't really talked about this, but it was a real story. It happened with a real client. And you know what? I would bet that the rest of her day was significantly different than the start of her day.
Yeah, I like that. I like that you're physicalizing, getting rid of the negative thoughts. I think there's an acceptance piece to it. Like, bad things happen. That's just the reality of life. That's the reality of the world, is that things are not on a straight line. Things are not always going well and climbing. It is a up and down. It's almost like a heartbeat that goes up and down. So, and I've talked about this before, but the mindset of neutrality and what Trevor Moawad talks about, and the key part of having a neutral mind is the acceptance that, okay, something bad has happened. Okay. A lot of bad things have happened. Like, for us when we were talking about in a sports mindset, you don't have days and weeks to think about it. A turnover happens in the game. You're down 14-0. A pick six happens. Those things happen in 8 seconds. You've got 8 more seconds to accept it, flush it, and then figure out what you're going to do next, what you're going to do moving forward. And I kind of talked about this yesterday in the huddle, and I put out a post about it that got a lot of response. But I said, look, the reality is there's really no clock. We talk about a clock all the time, and you want to beat the clock, and really the focus is the activity of what are you doing? Are you doing anything about it? Are you just sitting there and wallowing in it? So the understanding and the acceptance of something bad has happened, and then you're saying, write it down and burn it to get rid of it. I love that. You're doing something about it, or focusing on the activity that you need to do in order to progress forward, because that's all that really matters is the activity.
The physical activity of taking it out of your brain, putting it in something that's lit on fire. It's gone. You burned it. It's over. So really cool. Thought it was a great tip to share. The second thing I want to do is a quote that is not attributed to anybody. I've been using it. I know it. It came up again in some program that I was watching the other day, but I knew the quote. And so we Googled it to make sure that I wasn't, I hadn't got it from somebody because I do want to give credit where credit's due. And here's the quote. It's not what you do, it's what you do next that counts. And this has meaning across, so many playing fields, whether it's sports or business or life. To your point, things happen. It's what do you do next? And in this particular case, I want to focus on follow-up because in the exact situation I'm going to talk about is, let's just say you lose a deal. You get on board with somebody, you're going down the road, and then the answer is, you know what, we're not going to move forward. Wah, wah, wah. So there isn't anybody in the world that's going to go, that was great, fantastic. I'm like so thrilled that I spent 3 months trying to do something with you. That's not reality. What reality is to take a deep breath, and what you do next will dictate your entire career. And so this, again, coaching yesterday, and that's what's so great because I'm real time doing this. And then I'm going, wow, that would be something great to share with the huddle. Real time, I said to my client, I said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to either write a thank you note or I want you to physicalize it and send them something 3D. She goes, what do you mean? I go, I want you to find out something about them that you can send them. Do they like wine? Do they like football? Whatever they like, send them something and say, hey, we didn't get the deal this time, but I'm here if you ever need me. Closing the loop that way.
Yep.
It's professional. It's sportsmanship. It's shaking hands and saying, listen, I did everything I could. You didn't buy. That's not my fault. I did everything I could, but I'm going to leave not like a sore loser. I'm going to leave right. And you watch how many of those in your career turn around and go, you know what? I really like the way they handled that. Bam, they come back to you.
I love that. And that, even if it was your fault, it's almost better to then own the mistake. Like if you screwed up the presentation somehow, or you came back with solutions that were off the mark from where they were, to own that and say, hey, my bad. Like, I can't believe I totally missed that mark. I want to let you know that that's out of character for me, or I just want to let you know that I own that mistake. And I hope that there's an opportunity down the road for me to make it right for you. Just the ownership of that and the maturity to take it in stride and to say, it's not about me, right? It's okay that we're not going to do this and move forward, and that doesn't hurt our relationship. Because if you built the relationship will last longer than the transaction, whether it's yes or no.
That's exactly right. And people remember the last thing that you did. So real-time story again, Kenny Puncarelli, who, if you haven't connected with him, he's the CEO of a really cool architectural firm in Denver. We had dinner with him a couple of weeks ago here in Palm Beach. He's awesome. He, in one of our sessions, we were talking about, he was at a meeting. He promised he would follow up, and the week got away from him. And by the time he followed up, they had gone with somebody else. And he was like, it wasn't a big deal. So it wasn't the money that was getting to him. It was eating him up, that it was like, wow, what the hell I screwed up and I don't want to leave it that way. And I said to him, what do you know about the guy? And we did some homework on him. And in 2 seconds, we found out that the guy went to USC. So we went on Amazon. We bought a USC football. He sent him the football with a note that said, hey, I know I fumbled on the first play, but I hope I get the opportunity to run another play with you. The most unbelievable response. We couldn't even predict this. The guy went off the deep end because his 9-year-old loved that somebody sent him a football. So if you think I'm lying, reach out to MVP and have a coffee with him and he'll tell you. But that last touch is what people remember, which is one of the reasons why Shea has his role with us, is all about follow-up. It's the last touch. I'm busy doing whatever. Mark's busy doing whatever. I want the clients to know that they can always get an answer ASAP. There's one of us, and Shea is completely empowered to make a decision, right or wrong. He is me or he is Mark when we're not there, because that kind of follow-up you can't find anywhere.
And I think that there's, for me, and what we teach people and how we do it, there's three major places where I'm like organizing my follow-up. The first and easiest place ever is the LinkedIn messages. Like, I can just scroll back 30 days and be like, hey, what conversation fell dead? Where did was it a day where all of a sudden there was 15, 20 messages and I lost track of one? That's a great place for me right there to fire a message and say, hey, my bad, I dropped the ball on this one and this conversation went dead. I'm still interested in the virtual coffee or whatever, right? The other place is in my email, because sometimes just because it's a not right now, I don't even think it's a no. Even if people say no, it's really more of a not right now. I'll just throw that into a folder that I called follow-up so that I know, hey, I need to get into my follow-up folder. Who's here that I haven't touched in a while that I need to go back to because we had a good conversation, right? And the other one is the top 25 list. Like, who are you working through on your top 25 that you're keeping? So for me, those are my three major areas that I'm going through to make sure, what's the follow-up here? What's the follow-up here? How am I re-engaging with these people? And I think that's the other part of it is, okay, once you have your system of looking at where do I follow up with who, then it's about how. Like, if you're constantly following up about having another conversation about business, you're dead. You've lost.
You're dead in the water, gone completely, because people see through all that bullshit. Shay, you deal with a lot of people. What's your comment? I do want to bring you in because people love you, and I want to make sure that they know that you talk, because they very rarely get to talk to you. So.
No, so for me, like my process, like for our day-to-day stuff that you guys need, that we handle with you, between you and Mark, I try to get to that first. So I prioritize, and then things like intros or different things like that, because I'm up late. So I put that on the back burner, get to that when I'm at my downtime, so that the important stuff is done early, and then the little piddly stuff gets done later on. So
time management, let's go.
Yeah, I will tell you, here's a key thing, because the system that I've built for us, because we are coaching and doing biz dev at scale, is that Shay sits in a lot of our coaching meetings, and he's taking notes. And I cannot stress enough, write it down, take notes, because notes inform you on the follow-up. So if you're not doing it during the meeting or during the visit, do it right afterwards, because you take the next phone call. What did they say? Who did it? Now, part of our service is we make introductions. It would be impossible at the end of the day for me to remember who I promised that I would make introductions to. Almost every client engagement has some introduction tail to it, where I'm introducing them to new people. That's a gift. That's what we like to do for our clients. Well, you need a system to manage that. It's all about follow-up. And Shay, after every single call, sends follow-up. Here's the notes. Here's how we can track what we're doing. So your own personal notes, to Mark's point, are the ones that keep you sort of a week later. You can go back and say, okay, what did I say? What did they say? What's the follow-up? What's the expectation? And the expectation is not always about business. To Mark's point, it's, wow, you told me it's your birthday. You told me you're going on vacation. You told me your daughter's graduating and going to Kelly Martin, who's in this. She just dropped her son off at Florida State. We can bet your ass that my follow-up is, how was your trip to Tallahassee? If you need any help there, we're pretty well wired in Tallahassee. It has nothing to do with business. It has everything to do with being human. And I think, the big takeaway here is follow-up is human.
And if you've done a poor job of building the relationship, how easy is it to know what business they're in and then go find an article that you're able to send to them? Even if you have the relationship piece, if you were to read something that you're like, you know what, I know somebody who's in this field, maybe they'll find it interesting, just fire it to them. Hey, read this article and thought about you, thought you might get some expertise out of it. Let me know if you want to talk about it. Right? It's another way to spark another conversation, another way just to stay top of mind. Like, these are all tactics that it's relationship building. It's not about, hey, do you have time to have another call about this service that I want to provide you? It's you delivering with value. I said this the other day to somebody. I said, in sales, we train people, we tell people, it comes from the Scandinavian word of service. You have to lead with value in everything you do. Constantly be giving value to people because it will come back to you.
So the last tip of the day, which I think, people just don't realize the power of how to communicate, to your point, Mark. And, when you're communicating with a friend, you can sit there and like you, me, and Jake send GIFs to each other all day long. Right. Really, that communicate the entire message in a funny thing. So I did some follow-up yesterday. By the way, I calendar time to follow up.
I was just going to say that. It's on my calendar. It's on my calendar.
If I go on the fly, I'm going to do it. A calendar time to follow up. I sit down and focus on it. And I sent out such a few things. And I found a GIF of a Cheech and Chong. And it was basically, like the word "what's happening," but said "was," just funny. I sent it. I copied Shay on it. He called me up. He goes, "That was beautiful." He goes, "That was so funny." So if you can break up someone's day with your follow-up and give them a chuckle or make them feel good or say, "Wow, can I use that? I'm going to share that with other people." That's how you embed yourself in somebody's life. That's how you become invaluable to them. Not about what product, service, or whatever you're pitching them. It's you just deliver value a zillion different ways. So lots of good stuff this morning. Everybody in this should focus on follow-up as a part of their routine. And we talk about process and routine. So I love today's topic. I was pretty jacked about sharing it after yesterday. And great audience this morning. Great to see all the participation. Shay, last words in follow-up. Show them your shirt.
Yeah, I love that.
So for those of you,
just do it. Like
those of you who don't know the story, when Shay came to interview, I knew him from when he worked for the Florida Panthers, who were a client of ours. So he came in and we're going through all the motions. And I said, look, the reality is I know you. I know who you worked for before. Everything generally works for you to be hired here, but your name is Asiel Shay. And I said, there is absolutely no way that I call you Asiel every day. So you have a choice. I'll hire you right on the spot if you use the name of where my favorite baseball team used to play, Shea Stadium. And there he is. He is wearing it 7 years later. And that's how good relationships are made. So have an awesome day. Make it a terrific Tuesday, because the only person who can control that is you. Gentlemen, thank you for joining the huddle. Ladies and gentlemen in the crowd, share if there's a topic you want to hear us talk about. Tomorrow, more good stuff. Then Thursday is Takeover Thursday. But we're here every day, 8 a.m. Invite your friends, and let's go.
Let's go.